So on to our next session. Obviously today we've spoken a lot about the power of collaboration, breaking down organizational silos, and really encouraging communication across all departments. But now we get to hear a little bit more about how Zappos does it. So please welcome back to the stage Kandis Yoakum of Zappos.
Hi, thank you. As it says, Kandis from Zappos. For those of you that maybe weren't here for the panel, I am on the labs team that is based in San Francisco. However, I am actually in Las Vegas. I'm not sure if I mentioned what an incredibly small team we are. Currently, we are only 8 people that is working on the Zappos labs team, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. We need resources. We can't always bring a bunch of people in, so we use the resources that Zappos has provided us. Other people that work at Zappos. Turns out they're really great and they're really smart. So we have to get creative. You know, they're based in San Francisco. I'm in Las Vegas. I cannot possibly do everything for the team that's in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of commuting back and forth, but it's also about bridging and building relationships when the team is visiting in San Francisco. So we get creative. It's 15 minutes for coffee. It's running for lunch. It's just simply asking somebody, what are you working on, when you see them passing you in the hallway. And it's amazing how quickly we forget how meaningful something like, what are you working on is, because instantly you learn something that you didn't know before you asked that question. And then it leads to another incredible question, how can I help you? Is there anything that I can do for you? And maybe the answer right then is no, but the next time you guys interact with each other, something else might happen. And it opens the doorway for this relationship between the two of you to grow and form. Now, I've been at Zappos for 5 years, and I have not always been on a labs team. The fact that I'm even on a labs team blows my mind every day. I have no technical background whatsoever. I was actually kicked out of high school and had to finish at a continuation school. So it's kind of mind-boggling, right? I actually started in the customer service department, answering phones. I went through the normal training, I answered phones for 8 hours a day, and it was kind of crazy. But I've always had this weird need to ask questions. So when I started answering phones and I saw people that had worked there for a really long time, and they knew things that I didn't know, is, how did you do that? Who taught you that? How can I do that? And slowly but surely I started picking up more things simply by asking, how do you do that? Where did you learn that? I developed skill sets. I ended up on a team that we call the resource desk, where problems that nobody knows the answer to get sent to, because they were like, give this girl something to do. She keeps asking us questions. Let's send her somewhere that somebody can start asking her some questions. It was during that time that I met a friend. His name was John. He would sneak away once a week for these meetings. And he would come back and he would get back on his desk and he'd write this little report. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, well, there's this group that kind of gets together and they talk about future ideas for Zappos. And I just share the customer service side of it. If it's something that we can do, how it would look if it was put in customer service. Immediately I was enamored. What is that? Can I go? And he was like, no, you know, it's kind of a small thing and it might be weird. And I was like, okay, well, if you ever need my help, let me know. A couple of weeks later, he wasn't able to make it. And I was like, what? This is wonderful. I'll go. So he let me go. And I started building relationships outside of our customer service department. Now, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and it did not seem like that big of a deal at the time. I eventually became a lead. I had a team of 15 to 20 people that I was answering questions for, and I was training, and I was teaching, and I was trying to help them grow and learn all of these really wonderful things that I had started to learn. But it also made me meet other people and come up with creative solutions to problems that I didn't know the answer to. Eventually, one day, that happened. Eventually, one day, somebody who I had built a relationship over the years said, hey, did you know that there is this position to develop fashion content for the labs team? 1, I didn't even know that we had a labs team. 2, I had never worked in fashion content at all. It was something that I was just personally kind of interested in and had vocalized a couple of times. So I thought, what the heck, I'll apply, I'll see what happens. Worst thing that happens is they tell me no, I'm gonna go for it. Lo and behold, I ended up on the labs team. I had no idea what a big deal this was until I actually started working with the labs team. And I was in an environment of people that really fostered ideas and really fostered the idea that there wasn't a wrong answer. There was no right way to do anything. But I had an advantage. I knew all sorts of people in Las Vegas. People that I'd never directly worked with, but I was comfortable asking them, what do you do? How do you do that? So when the opportunity presented itself to jump in a brainstorming session with this really wonderful team of incredibly smart people, and I could ask them questions, well, how would you do that? What would you need to do that? I knew the people that they were going to need, and suddenly I became a really valuable resource because I could make those connections and build those relationships. About the same time that I joined the labs team and I found out that I actually had a talent in asking questions, we brought out this new thing that I know a lot of you are really curious about, and that's holacracy. Now, for those of you who don't know, holacracy is a way for us to run our meetings and a way to help us as individuals and teams become a little more self-organized. Let's see. Oh, that's a different slide than I had there. Zappos Labs, that's me. This is one of my favorite articles. So people are really curious about holacracy and is it succeeding? Some people say yes, some people say no. Personally, I love this more than anything that I've had or experienced in my Zappos career. The reason why is because it challenges what you are used to. It challenges the normal structure of a meeting. When I joined the labs team, I didn't realize that Will Young was our director. I didn't think that he was very important. He was just another guy that was in the room. Everybody was so used to Will running the meeting and being in charge and making decisions. And I was one of the first people to say, well, why? Why does Will get to say what we're doing? I have this idea, you have that idea. Why can't we do something a little bit differently? Does holacracy mean that we're a flat organization? Not entirely. We do have a hierarchy, but it's of work. This is actually an image of, it's called Glass Frog. It is where we document all of the work that goes through holacracy. These are the circles that we as the company operate in. So the largest one there is the Greater Company Circle, the GCC, and then the work formulates in circles below there. The Lab Circle is, we're part of GCC now. We used to be in the Unicorn Circle, which was a tech circle. And it seems so complicated, right? There's so much going on there, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to try and pretend that I can explain holacracy to you in the next 19 minutes. It's impossible. We've been doing holacracy for about 2 years now. We're just really starting to figure it out, to be completely honest. Luckily, my team were really close with each other. We have great relationships. So when this first rolled out, we didn't like it. Don't tell anybody. We were very open about the fact that we didn't like it. We would go to these holacracy meetings, we would sit there, we would practice holacracy, and then we would end the meeting, and then we would go have another meeting with just each other about how much we didn't like that. What a bad idea that was, how this is never going to work. It's kind of silly now because we want to run every meeting holacracy style. We want to give everybody a chance at the table to bring something to the table, to ask a question, to share an opinion. One of my favorite rounds in holacracy is the reaction round. So maybe I don't have a question about the idea that you're proposing or the project that you've brought to the table, but maybe I do have a reaction and I have a sacred space to react to this idea that you've brought to the table. Maybe it's just, that's a great idea, I love it. Maybe it's, how can I help you? Maybe it's, yeah, I like the idea, I get it. But who's going to actually do this? And it allows the person proposing these projects and sharing these ideas to get input from the outside world. Now, of course, you're not going to go running back to your company and say, we've got to do holacracy, this is the best thing that I've ever heard. But it does allow you to see that there are so many more moving pieces to the company that slowly but surely we interact. So as you see, the circles get smaller and smaller. That means together we are working within the same idea. The work that we're doing all touches each other. One of my other favorite things about holacracy is that each meeting that we have Notes are captured in Glass Frog. Individuals can follow a circle or jump into a circle and see notes from the past meeting. So if I'm really curious what our CLT team is doing, I haven't been on that team for 2 years, I'm still curious every day what they're doing. I can click on that circle and I can see what they're doing. I can see who's working on what projects. I can see what steps they're taking, and I can start asking them questions. What does that mean? How are we going to do that? When do we plan on doing this? And it's not a matter of holding them accountable. It's empowering myself with information about anything in the company that I'm curious about. This is me today. In your little book there, it says I'm the content curator. That's been my title for the last 2 years, but these are the projects that I've been working on. I'm in the process of changing my title, my external title, to product manager because it most closely resembles what I actually do on a day-to-day. Roles filled by Kandis. Now these are just the circles that I'm actually in, not the specific roles. Some of these I have 1 role, some of them I have 3 roles. I don't do all of them all the time. I am not superhuman. I am just one girl. It looks crazy, I know. But it's so much fun. I get to work with so many different people on any given week, on any given month, that I'm constantly giving and receiving information on how we can make the Zappos experience better, how we can make the Zappos customer life better. And this little profile here actually gives other people that work at Zappos an opportunity to get to know me better too. Because suddenly what I'm interested in, what I'm passionate about, what I care about, what I want to invest my time in is now available for everybody in the company to see. So what does that mean for the labs team? This is how we have done so much of our work for a long time. Now this isn't anything different. This isn't anything that you've never seen before. It's the idea of testing assumptions in a fast, rapid, quick way. This is what the labs team uses, but now we're using it on a different scale. Instead of 8 people using this, we now get to work with 1,500 people and iterate very quickly. When you have 8 people trying to do this and you only have 1 developer and you have 1 product manager and you have 1 designer, it's going to take a lot longer to move things along. But we've been talking to other people in the company, and they know that we're interested in working on something called personal stylist. And now they're interested in working in personal stylist, and we can tell them, this is the method that we're going to use. This is how we're going to move forward with this idea. This is the piece that I need to plug you in at. Can you help me? I brought up personal stylist because it's one of my favorite and least favorite projects that I've ever worked on at the same time. I'm a content curator for Glance. It's a curated subsite for Zappos. It's fun and wonderful and I love it, but it's missing that one little piece. It's curated, but it's not specific. It's not just for you. And I want to have that relationship with my customer that's just for her, that makes her realize that I care about her as an individual. So I had this brilliant idea. Kandis, the curator, will curate very special collections for one individual woman and she will love it, and I have solved all of the problems of personal stylists for Zappos. But I wanted to do it in a different way, a way that nobody had ever done it before, and I was going to use video postcards. I was going to let customers submit a video to me, a style question that they had, anything and everything, and I was going to answer it for them. I was going to take care of it. So I found developers and designers, and we worked together. And 2 weeks later, I had a test that I could run, a link that I could share. And I sent that link out to get those videos, and I was so excited. And 3 days later, when I finally got my first video, I could not wait to open it. And I open it, and it's a little boy playing with a car. This is not what I expected. So that's okay. It's no big deal. It happens. We're Zappos. Things are a little weird sometimes. So another video comes through the next day, and I'm so excited. And guess what? It is Will Smith in Independence Day, and I am sure that he did not send it. I'm so disappointed. But really quickly, I learned, maybe this isn't for Zappos. Maybe this isn't the approach. So with very little resource put into that, I was able to pivot very quickly. Video postcards are not for us. Let's try email. And I was able to switch over just as quickly to let customers then email us and ask their style questions. Now, we ended up not moving forward with the personal stylist project. Didn't make sense to us for a number of reasons. Not the right time, not the right platform. A number of questions were presented, but it also started a conversation. There are now 3 different teams discussing what personal stylist might look like for us in the future, because this conversation started generating within different teams that maybe we hadn't worked with before. One of my favorite things about my job is that I can just get up and go talk to anybody I want to, anytime I want to. There are no limitations on that. So really, I would challenge all of you to go back, and the next time you see somebody in the hallway and you're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, I'm so busy. Ask them, what are you working on? Can I help you? Because it's those conversations that lead to being able to measure things quickly, produce things quickly, and have fun with what you're doing. That's the best part of all of our jobs, is that there are wonderful, beautiful people around us with brilliant ideas, and until we give them the platform, we're never going to figure out how to test things with them. Thank you.